Well, the Lagos State Internal Revenue Service says all taxpayers in the state should file tax returns on or before March 31st. Well, that was even a year before, to avoid penalties for insubordination. Now, these individual taxpayers include self-employed persons and employees under the payee scheme in Lagos, which is mandatory within 90 days of a new year. In a statement signed by the LIRS, the direction is in line with the Personal Income Tax Act. LIRS Executive Chairman Mr. Ayodele Subar has also revealed that the filing can only be done on the e-tax portal of the agency, adding that it is easier and more helpful to use. Well, let's understand this, please. Get all of these facts together. 2023 filings, because we're already in 2023. I have the right person in the house. It's the head IT Directorate at the LRS, Mr. Rashid Oluwajayi. It's good to have you in the studio again, and Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you, and it's good to be here. Good afternoon, viewers.
Yes, I want us to start this way for a layman, for everyone. Yeah. What is tax annual returns, and of course, who is to file it?
Well, tax annual returns is the statutory returns that all employers of labourers and individual residents in Lagos have to file returns of their income, and as such, the tax deducted by employers of labour in the previous years of their business that they have to remit back to the agency.
Okay, is it that money that is debited from my account that it has a personal income tax or something? But really, what period is it meant to be filed?
Right, the period that is meant to be filed is the period of transactions of last year, which they have to file for. And then, of course, they have to also do projections, what they're going to be projecting for the current year as well. So it's a combination of last year and this year's as well.
Yes. Okay.
But for individuals would only file return of their income of last year's business transactions.
I think that thing is much when they take the percentage off sometimes.
Well,
and I'm sure my colleagues they will agree with me.
It is much, but equally the project that the government is doing in Lagos is capital intensive as well, and this money has to come from somewhere. So unfortunately, with their paying taxes, have to pay the burden for it.
Well, I agree on that on a lighter note, because I see really what Lagos has been doing, and like I say, if that could be replicated all around, I think we'll be happy to pay tax. But what is the process of making tax returns?
Well, the process of making tax returns, I'm glad the executive chairman, Mr. Ayodele Subar, had said in his publications that it's easier to do on e-tax. People who have access to the e-tax, and we're enjoying all taxpayers to register on e-tax so that they can have a seamless, returns of filing. Once they log in with their taxpayer ID, the returns tab is there, which is one of the tabs that you can get on the portal. You have for corporate entities, you have the projections, you have the annual returns, you have the payment schedule, and then you have the withholding taxes templates. All these templates, they would download the templates, fill those templates in, and upload back into the system. Once they're able to do that successfully, within 3 clicks, they've done their returns on filing. For individuals, they would also log in into their personal profile. Once they log in into their personal profile, there's an online form A, which we have abridged on the system. Once they fill that in, it's just the return on their income, because their profile, personal biodata doesn't change. So all they need to do is just the income part. Once they fill that in and upload back into the system, it's just as simple as that.
Technology is just making everything so easy. But what are the modes of filing online?
Well, the modes of filing online is very simple. You require a personal payer ID. Once you have a personal payer ID, which you get upon registration to the e-tax platform, you need a password. Once you've signed in with your password, all you have to do is just upload your returns on your income, and it's as simple as that.
Let's not talk about different types of taxes that are applied to companies. Can we talk about that? Tell us more about it.
Yes, well, before we go into that, we need to understand that Nigeria has 3 tiers of government. You have the federal government, you have the state government, and then you have the local government.
True.
Now, be that said, federal government and state government collect taxes and local government collect levies. Now, there aren't issues of double taxation here, because the federal government taxes are totally separate from what the local state government would collect in forms of taxes. So state government would only collect personal income taxes. So if you're in a paid employment, it's called pay as you earn. If you're a self-employed individual, it's called direct assessment. So then we collect business premises, which is what organizations will pay. I think for 10,000 for urban and rural areas will pay 5,000 per annum. Then development levy, as you correctly said earlier, there has to be development within the state. So every individual resident in the state has to pay 1,000 per annum. And then the withholding taxes that corporate entities would have collected on behalf of the state government in the previous years of administration would also have to be paid for. And then, of course, the consumption tax as well. Those who, use high facilities like the Sheratons of this world, the hybrid hotels, they have to pay a 5% consumption charge on whatever they consume in hotels. So those are essentially the taxes that is being collected by state government.
So let's now look at the difference between the company annual filing and individual annual filing. How can we differentiate this?
Well, for company annual filings, as I said, company annual filings is done. They would obviously file on behalf of all their employees. So company annual filings is done on behalf of all employees that are, so is essentially the employers of labor who will file your return on behalf for you. But equally, individuals residents in a state also have to file their own returns as well. So the difference between the two is that employers of labor will file the returns and the taxes they have deducted from your salary in the previous year, and you also, as an individual, is also eligible to file your return at the end of a year to say that, okay, I work with TVC, and these are the taxes that has been deducted from my salary. So we then will vary the two together to see what you have filed and what TVC has filed on your behalf.
Okay, well, when is the deadline for the filing?
Well, the deadline for corporate entities is 31st of January, and for individuals is 31st of March.
This year?
This year, yes.
Wow, so you must file all that has, for 2022?
All for 2022 has to be filed before the end of this month for corporate entities, and for individuals, it has to be for before the end of 31st
But
of March.
why is the filing of this annual tax returns, why is it so important?
Well, it is important because, well, the state government obviously is embarking on a lot of projects, either recurring or capital, and these projects are capital intensive. So apart from the fact that it is statutory, it is a civic responsibility, it is the law to do so, the state government also requires funds to be able to perform a civic responsibility as well, to create good roads for us, to create security. My salary has to be paid as well as a public servant, and obviously all the civil servants, the teachers, the security, the personnel, and the hospitals. So all these things require funding for which the state government has to do.
Something just ran through my head when you're making one of your points, and I'm thinking, what's the penalty for filing incorrect or false returns?
Right, the penalties vary. For incorrect returns, I think it's a stipend really is 20,000, which obviously would be levied against that individual in addendum to the tax due that is supposed to be paid. For people who filed incorrect tax returns, is 10% of whatever tax that is due in addition to the taxes that is supposed to be paid. And all those are captioned under the Personal Income Tax Act of
okay, so it's not that you're going to get, it doesn't get to a court case that where one is imprisoned or maybe, leads to, for failure of filing.
Well, Section 94 of the Personal Income Tax Act actually stipulates that, 6 months imprisonment can apply depending on what, if found guilty. But we try as much as possible to, use moral suasion to collect taxes from people, because we know times are hard, the economy is hard in the country. So we use more of moral suasion to deal with taxpayers to make sure that these taxes are collected.
That's fair enough. Someone tell me that nothing is as sure as, tax is as sure as debt.
Oh, certainly. It is. Well, I'm sure I perhaps wouldn't want to pay taxes as well if I wasn't in Lagos State Internal Revenue Service. Nobody really wants to pay taxes. But as you rightly said, it's as sure as death.
Yeah, it is. It is. For instance, as an employee, I noticed that my employer is not remitting my tax being deducted, and I keep getting the debit alerts, but it's not being remitted. What do I do?
Okay. For that, we always enjoin taxpayers or residents of Lagos that to blow a whistle on such individuals, because if they're deducting your taxes and they're not remitting the taxes, then they're equally cheating you as an individual and also cheating the Lagos State government of its revenue that is meant to generate for the state.
So that's what I mean, straight up. So you can make reports and follow
yes.
it up.
They can always make contact with us. I'll give the phone numbers and how to reach us before the end of the show, and they can whistleblow on them, and then we'll go after them.
Great. Let's talk about taxpayer ID and how can that be gotten?
Well, taxpayer ID is a unique identifier that you get upon registration on the eTax platform. Okay. For individual, it denotes an N and it's alphanumeric, and for corporate entities, it starts with a C, which is C for Charlie. So once you've registered successfully on the ePortal, eTax portal, then you would be issued a tax identification number, which is your unique identifier for dealing with us and every tax transactions in the state.
Of course, before we wrap up, I know you have projections every year, revenue generating agencies, but what is your outlook considering all of these challenges? And let me support with the informal guys. Many say we need to bring them in.
Yes, we are trying our bit, because the informal sector is the hard to tax sector everywhere in the world, and Nigeria is not an exception. We in the agency, we are leveraging on technology, where we're using technology to capture the people within the informal sector. So aside from the eTax platform, we have an Abile Hub application where we have mobile agents going around to different streets, going around to different shops and different markets to ensure that taxpayers are registered within the informal sector. And they're doing fantastically well. They visit all the markets in Lagos State and all the associations, all the professional unskilled associations in Lagos, and most of them are being captured through that means. And then, yes, maybe perhaps we're collecting presumptive tax from them, but yes, it's better to collect something and better than collecting nothing whatsoever. So we're trying our bit to ensure that within that sector, we reach out to them so that they can also be part of the tax-paying culture and entity within the state.
But in your assessment, how receptive or Lagosians, let me stay with Lagos, we're talking about Lagos, yes, to paying, because looking at the good roads, infrastructure, the rail lines and all of that, how receptive have they been?
Well, it hasn't been that receptive. As you well know, people would not want to pay taxes if they could. But we are doing all we could within the agency, and it's the advocacy we're doing now, coming on TV to ensure that, the thing that the government is doing with money is quite transparent. We're more accountable. The application that we have we're using for eTax is more accountable, is more transparent. And then in Lagos, as you rightly said, people can see what taxpayers' money is being used for by the current dispensation under the administration of Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu. You can see the blue rail line. You have lag ferries as well. You have the lag rides as well. The RRS on the streets, the hospitals, the security, the schools, and all that. So these are essentially what taxpayers' monies are being used for. So the reception is not where it's supposed to be, but we're forging ahead, and we're making it a little...
Tell us, what platforms can taxpayers reach the LIRS on for help? Okay,
we have a customer service that taxpayers can reach us on, is 0700 22 555 477. I'll repeat that number, is 0700, call LIRS, 0700 22 555 477. And then we have the Instagram handle, we have the YouTube, we have the Twitter, and then we have the Facebook handles as well. All that is at LIRSGOVNG. And then we have an email that you can reach us on as well, is etaxinfo@lirs.gov.ng. tax.gov.net. And then you can walk into any of our tax stations. We have subject matter experts in each of our tax stations. We have about 41 tax stations dispersed all over Lagos that people can always walk into and reach us on there. And then, of course, you can chat to us on the eTax platform as well, or our website, which is lirs.gov.ng, and then we'll be able to take all your issues and deal with them.
Well, you've heard it all there from Mr. Rashid Olu Ajayi. He is the head IT directorate with the Lagos Inland Revenue Service. Thank you so much for clarity, of course, and explaining all of this, making real sense of what this is for us. And we expect a lot. We'll keep paying for those of us that are paying, and for those that we need to bring into the net, we wish you guys well as you bring them in, and so that Lagos can continue with the themes agenda and the good work. Thank you so much for your time on Business Nigeria. We appreciate this.
Thank you for having me.